What's up guys? So let's take a look at Bitcoin's best case scenario. I want to pull up some Bitcoin bottom indicators to see like what are these indicators telling us, because people are still arguing like the bottom is in, the bottom is not in. Let's see what we can find. And also soon I will make videos about Bitcoin's worst case scenario. And I'm gonna do the same for altcoins as well. If you like the kind of content, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell notification, smack the like button, of course, would help me a lot as well. And I must tell you that I'm making this video because of some hateful comments that I just got on this channel and I don't like it. So I don't know, I just want to, it gave me some inspiration. So someone said like, you keep talking on how alts will get wrecked, but you never talk about when alts will be bullish. Balance the two. You have told us that alts go down. Tell us when alts will recover and more upwards too. So stop being bearish all the time on alts. Your video is quite annoying nowadays. Okay, so I will start with Bitcoin, but fine, man, I will listen to you. But yeah, very quickly, stop being bearish on altcoins all the time. Yeah, I don't know, man, but if the altcoin market looks bearish, then I am bearish. It's just what it is. I'm not deciding what the market is doing, of course, right? But Bitcoin is looking a lot more bullish than altcoins, of course, right? We have seen Bitcoin going up, and Bitcoin is clearly out of the downwards trend. So for Bitcoin, I can be a little more bullish than for altcoins. So let's take a look at some indicators that we got. And I'm going to use the Into the Cryptoverse app for a couple of these indicators. Benjamin posted multiple indicators that shows like, okay, is the bottom in? Is the bottom not in? We can, of course, not predict it, but we can, you know, get a pretty clear expectation based on all this data. So the first is the total crypto valuation versus the trend line, and the red line is the fair value of Bitcoin, and the yellow line is how much we are under or above the current fair value, right? So what's quite interesting, every time that we bottom on Bitcoin, the fair value is sitting quite low, right? We are way below the fair value, and that's also the case right now. We bottomed here in 2010, we were sitting at 34%. Here in 2016, we were sitting at 39%, right? Here in 2020, we were sitting at 40%, and now we bottomed at 46%. So it's getting up and up and up, and it looks quite likely for this indicator that the bottom should be in, right? After we usually go up that much, we don't really find a new bottom so far, right? We went to the bottom right here, we never revisited that level. Went to the bottom right here, we never revisited that level. Went to the bottom right here in the COVID crash, we never revisited that level. So the same case could be made for this time as well. So that's at least one that shows me that Bitcoin is has bottomed out. The historical risk levels is quite interesting. Historical risk levels. So the risk for Bitcoin is based on the price, the social metrics, the on-chain data, etc., etc., etc. And you can see right here as well, every time we get to these very low risk levels, right? That's the red line, and the blue line is the Bitcoin price. You see that once we get there, that's also where Bitcoin bottoms. Okay, here as well, we have these extreme low risk levels. It's exactly where Bitcoin bottomed. I can keep showing them all, but it's just what it is, right? Also, what you notice is every single time we went that low on the risk levels and we went up, you know, it's always up and down, but we never had that kind of second crash or anything, right? So now as well, we went all the way down here and we got all the way up to above 0.5 risk already. Every time that happens, we never have seen a new low so far, right? And for everything can be the first time, of course, but you know, this is data that we are looking at. So, that would be exceptional if let me put it like this. If we will make a new low, then this time is different. And I'm not a big proponent of betting my money on the fact that this time is different. That's not how it works. Then if that's the case, you can forget about all the charts basically, right? Then charts have no use. So that's not what I'm doing. Also, every time we get to 0.5%, where did it take us in the previous runs? Well, 0.5, let me take a look. That's in this case right here. So the last time we were there, Bitcoin was $4, give or take, $3, $4, $5. And at the end of the day, Bitcoin went up to 35. So Bitcoin went up a lot more than that, of course. This time, where we went to 0.5, Bitcoin was sitting at around $47. Peak of that run was $230. The run after that, once we got to 0.5, Bitcoin was sitting at $250, and we went all the way up to $1,200 was it in that run. So, and I can take these as well, but I think you get the point. Right here we went to 0.5, Bitcoin was 18k, we went all the way up to 60. So it's usually once we get to 0.5, you do not have to think like, oh, we are already halfway there, so we can only do a 2x from here, right? That's not how it works. It's the risk and not the price that's doubling. So according to that, Bitcoin is looking extremely bullish to me. Price colored by risk, this is pretty interesting. So this is basically the same. So in the deep blue territory, the risk is very low. When is the risk low? When the price is low as well, right? I mean, if you have a high price, if you then step in, you're taking a high risk because then there's more downside than upside. So if we delete everything and we just look at the top 3 high levels, right? You can see it marks off the tops for Bitcoin. We have the top right here, top right here, top right here, the top right here, and the top right here. So that's pretty obvious. Okay, but what if we do that for the lower bands? So we have this one, and this one. What does it mark off? Bottom territory, bottom territory, bottom territory, bottom territory, even in the COVID crash, bottom, and here as well, bottom territory. Again, it would be weird, and I'm not saying that we cannot come down towards maybe even 20k or slightly lower or whatever. Worst case scenario, if an insane recession coming up and a Binance collapse, well, I don't know, you know, maybe even a double bottom. It won't be the first time that happens, but a lower low, it will go against a lot of bottom indicators from what I see. Also, if you take a look at the logarithmic regression band, this goes back in Bitcoin's complete history. What do you, and this is the part where I will post, where I will say something about the bullish case for Bitcoin as well, because I made some videos like, yeah, what's my Bitcoin price prediction? Well, this is one indicator that helps me make up my price prediction for Bitcoin. What did Bitcoin do in its complete existence? What do you notice? In every bear market, we're sitting at the lower band, right? The green band is the lower band. And in every bull market, we are sitting at, or at least very close to, the upper band, this red band, right? You can see it here, you can see it here, you can see it here, you can see it here. Right here, we touched it, right? Here, we did not touch it completely. And in this bull market, we even touched the upper band, and in this bull market, we also touched the upper band, right? So overall, we get there, all right? Now, it does not mean that, look, I mean, now we are in this green territory right here since May 2022, so since 1 year, right? We have been in for 1 year. Look, could we stay here for another year, maybe longer? Yes, that's possible. Because it also happened right here. We came into this territory in January 2015. We got out of it in May 2017. It took us 2.5 years. But the band is, of course, moving up, right? So once we got in, Bitcoin was sitting at $220. But once we got out of that band at the same place, Bitcoin was sitting at $1,800. Right, so Bitcoin already went up like, my math sucks, like 9x. It's early, 9x, I think. While we were basically going sideways, right? Well, it was a boring bear market, basically. This was not a bull market, this is the bull market, right? That's also how you can define a bull market. When is it a bull market? Well, I can say maybe when you leave this lower area right here, right, and you get towards a higher band. So could we stay here for 2.5 years? Yeah, could be. So that's May 2022. So that will be January 2025, right? We could be sitting in January 2025 at the upper band of it, right, which is around $100,000. And still technically be in that sideways, well, not a bear market, like I said, but not in a bull market, really. So even if Bitcoin hits 100K, you could argue that it's not even a bull market yet. Bull market starts when we start to climb out of that band, right? And I said earlier, my expectation is that Bitcoin will peak out at around end 2025. I know a lot of people expect that because of the 4-year cycle. That's still intact, so why would I argue, right? So if we look at end 2025, where this upper area is sitting, that's in December 2025, sitting between $300,000 and $450,000. You might feel like, wow, yeah, but that sounds a little hard to believe, and Bitcoin is never going to do that, and this and that. It will be the first time ever if it doesn't happen. You know what I mean? So far, yeah, you know, except like this, maybe we went slightly below that. But even if we go slightly below that, right, where will we be sitting? End of 2025, it will be sitting the lower band is 305K, something like that. So, you know, anywhere between $200,000 and $300,000. Like it would be different, like the cycle would be finally different for the first time ever if we do not at least reach $200,000. Okay, so that is just like my expectation, because there are a lot of people saying, yeah, you got diminishing returns. Well, yeah, look at this band. This is already calculating in diminishing returns. The band is going way more parabolic here than what it does right here, right? And at a certain point, such a band, maybe it goes like this, right? I don't know. We have to refit by then, I guess. But for now, the band is, you know, very much intact, looking quite good. So it's an interesting chart. ROI after cycle peak. This is also quite interesting. So what it is, and I will delete the first cycle, as you know, liquidity back then, and that's not really comparable. But if you look at this, the green line is where we are right now, right? And the ROI is sitting at 0.42, so or 43. So it's basically 43% from the previous top, right? The one in this cycle's case is 69,000. In the previous cycles, it was 20K and 1,200 or something like that. So what's quite interesting is if you look in 2018, this is where Bitcoin bottomed, time-wise, right? This is not price-wise, time-wise. This is where Bitcoin bottomed. From here, it went up. In 2015, this is where Bitcoin bottomed, right? Also time-wise. If we would see a new bottom, then this is an exceptionally long bear market, right? Exceptionally long. The first one, it ended in 363 days, 65 maybe, so exactly a year basically. This one ended in 406 days. We are now 542 days in. Can you imagine that if we should find a new bottom, whenever that might be, then that bear market takes like twice as long as average? That would be really weird. So I'm more in the camp like, yes, I know macro is bad, but that's the reason why we are in the bear market in the first place. And it's still Bitcoin's best bear market price-wise so far, right? So why would Bitcoin now all of a sudden see a new bottom, and why would this time be different? Like 2018 was also different compared to 2015 because that has had its own, reasons why it was a bear market. Of course, the reasons are always different, but the cycle is not. Eventually, the outcome is not really, right? So it's price-wise. You see that the price is up a lot more, right? We bottomed here. Yeah, you could say that's average. we went lower than what we did in 2014-15, but we went higher than what we did in 2018. So we're perfectly in the middle. That makes sense, right? But time-wise, going up from here, and we should go down and maybe bottom somewhere here, like 2 years later than every other bear market, seems weird, right? If you take these 3 months out, we were already going up, right? If you take them to the peak, you'll see this. All right. Now, this is also quite interesting because you see that overall our cycle is following the others pretty well, right? I mean, 2015 was quite boring, right? We bottomed, got up, went sideways for like a year or so, finally started to go up a little bit, right? 2018 was quite interesting. We went a lot lower, right? So after that, we went a lot higher as well. But then overall, sideways, 560 days. We were at the same point at 1,036 days, right? So a long time. So we went sideways for a very long time. And after that, also, we got up. Could it be that we do something like this right now as well, where we basically go up and down, and that in a year from now, we will be basically sitting at the same place? I think that's pretty likely. So I'm saying, I said before, like, this is the hardest year for crypto. Why? Because everybody has these expectations of spectacular stuff, right? So the bear saying, oh, new lows. The bull saying, oh, 50K, whatever. I think at the end of the day, this is going to be a very boring year where we will go up and down, of course. It's crypto. But in a year, we might be sitting at the same place and everybody feels like, it's not working. And people give up because they get bored or because they stop believing. That's the hard part of the cycle. That's really the hard part of the cycle. But I am convinced that after the halving, we will go up, right? So, but then again, like the point of this chart is the bottom in. It will be, again, exceptional. Also, when you look at this chart, if the bottom is not in, right? And again, I'm not saying that it can't happen, right? But just look at the data and it's like, man, I don't believe that we will see a new bottom. Moving averages, yeah, how can you use this as a bottom indicator? Well, basically the 200 weekly moving average, it always functioned as support, right? In this bear market, we got support of it. In this bear market, we got support of it. In the COVID crash, we got support of it. And what is different this time is, of course, that we broke it, found it as resistance, and we went under it for a long time. But we finally broke out of it in March, and now we are holding that line pretty well. This moving average is now sitting at 26K, and I do think it's pretty important that we hold this level. So 26K is an important level for us to hold. After that, you get these moving averages like the 250 and the 300 and all of that, right? And that's also what we should hold, but we are now far from that. So, yeah. This is not functioning as a bottom indicator for me exactly, but yeah, okay. Pi cycle top and bottom indicator. It was always quite accurate. It marked off the top right here. It marked off the top right here. It marked off the top right here. But after our last cycle, a lot of people technically say that the top was in April, right? While the price was actually topping in November, but it was like 5K difference out of the 70K in total. So it was not that big of a difference. But therefore, this indicator has been lagging a little bit. Some people could argue that the top of or that basically our bear market started already in April 2021. Depends on how you look at that. I don't have a clear opinion about that basically. But it also could mean that the bottom indicator is maybe not 100% correct this time. 2015, we got the top pi cycle bottom indicator right here, right at the bottom, like a small difference, right? Small difference, but not that big of a difference, like one day. So that's pretty accurate if you ask me. This cycle, 2019, it marked the bottom perfectly, right? It's accurate as hell. However, this bear market, not so perfectly, right? It marked it in July 22. And after that, we went a lot lower, of course. So it marked it earlier than what it should have been. But yeah, then again, if you look at the top indicator, it was also earlier than it should have been. So if you say like, okay, this one was 6 months too early, right? From April until November, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, 6-7 months too early, you could say that the bottom indicator could have been 6-7 months too early as well, right? And if that says July, then it could very well be that indeed in November was the bottom. So even now it's not accurate, it's accurate, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of stuff that we can take a look at. These are some indicators that point out that the bottom is in. There are some indicators where you can argue like this is not in. The supply in profit and loss. Every time, but this is for another video, but just a tease of what I'm going to show you in that video, the worst case scenario for Bitcoin and where we might go in that case, right? Want to look at both sides. But the supply in profit and loss, every time Bitcoin bottoms, the blue line, the supply in profit and loss, they cross with each other, right? Here they cross, here they cross, here they cross, here they cross, okay? But if you take another moving average of, let's say, 30 SMA, you see this bear market cross, this bear market cross, this bear market cross. Did we have a cross here? Slight cross, slight cross. Okay, fine. Okay, cool. But then if you take a look at the 50, not so much, right? No cross. Did we have a cross right here though? Yes, we had. We had them here. We had them here. So we did not have that cross right here. So that's an indicator that shows us that, okay, this is one of the few indicators that says that the bottom might not be in. All right, but there's also a counter argument to be made on that. So that's for another video. And again, also I've drawn this on the charts. This is quite perfect as well. This is a parallel channel, which goes back to 2017, right? And every time, sorry for that, every time so far, we went to the bottom of it in a bear market and we went to the top of it in a bull market. Bull, top, bear, bottom, and now again in this bear market. I've drawn it before the bear market started. Go watch videos at least before October 2022. I've drawn it right there and it bounced off quite perfectly, right? So this is also some kind of a bottom indicator I made myself then, I guess, but quite perfectly. So that is still intact, right? Very much. So if it can just stay intact for the coming 2.5 years like it's been doing for the last 6 years, then also if we went to the top here in this bull and went to the top in this bull, how weird is it that we also go to the top in this bull? And this top by then is sitting at around 400K as well. So that's the best case scenario for Bitcoin. I'm not saying $1 million will happen eventually, but not coming cycle in my opinion. That will also suggest that this time is different, right? I'm not a fan of saying that. But I'm also not saying that 100K or whatever is the top. That will be exceptionally low, and that will definitely show us that something is broken or at least changed. So my expectation, at least 200K, at max 400K. So let me take the average and stick with my 300K prediction. Yeah, let's find out 2025 if I'm right about that. And it doesn't even matter about being right, because I'm not planning to hold everything until we reach that number, right? What if I'm wrong? You want a dollar cost out of crypto, of course, before that, because your dollar cost in around the bottom and out at the top, because you cannot time the market, right? So that's basically what I wanted to touch on. I hope you find this quite interesting. If you have any suggestions for me to check out or questions, leave them down below. Make sure to join our Telegram group in that spinning thing over there. You can't click it, of course, but also in the description. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new and you think this is useful information, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.